Welcome to the CXR channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Career Crossroads podcast. In this episode, we're doing a recap of our second branding and marketing meeting for 2021. So we're pretty excited about that. The time just flew by and it went really, really fast. So in the spirit of just jumping right in, kind of talking about what we learned and what we shared about, I want to just kick off with our two guests and have them introduce themselves. So Jesse, if you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do over at Advocate Aurora.
Yes, so my name is Jessie Summerfield, and I am Recruitment Marketing Specialist at Advocate Aurora Health. So we're a 26 hospital system based in Wisconsin and Illinois, and I oversee all things kind of employment brand, recruitment marketing, mostly for our staff level recruiting, but that also do support leadership recruiting and a little bit of clinician recruiting as needed.
Nice. Thanks for being on. Welcome to the show. And Thea, you're at Lockheed Martin, but tell us a little bit about what you do over at LMCO.
Yes. So my name is Thea, and I work at Lockheed Martin, specifically in the business area of missiles and fire control, MFC for short. Which I know, Chris, you're always excited about because it's like everybody's childhood dream to, watch things blow up.
Or just have the word missile in your job title. Just like, I might change mine to missile and fire control at Career Crossroads.
Yes. So I am the recruitment marketing strategist for missiles and fire control. And I primarily am focused on our X-Pro attraction strategies. We have another teammate who focuses on early career. Our big focus, of course, like everybody, has been on diversity hiring, and even just specifically just trying to attract during this crazy time of COVID.
Yeah, well, thanks, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you on the podcast. First time for you. So we had an interesting session today. It was 2 hours. We did two show and tells from two very large organizations that have done some really great stuff from a branding and delivery standpoint. And then we did a little bit of an exercise, and each of those focused on internal attraction and marketing and external attraction and marketing, with some undertones of focus being around DE&I and this big wave of attrition and challenge of attraction that we see sort of swelling in front of us. So let me ask, with all of the stuff that we covered in a very rapid 2 hours, Jesse, was there a big takeaway or an aha moment for you that you'd want to share with the industry people should be aware of?
Well, one thing that I've been thinking about that answers your question, but also doesn't, but I just wanted to put this plug in, is we talked a lot about burnout. I was part of the retention group and the attrition group, and because we work in healthcare, like, it's been especially bad. I think we've just been so busy, even from a recruiting perspective, and trying to hire for all these different areas. And I myself have been feeling burned out. And coming to this session, even just for 2 hours, like, helps to refresh a little bit. Getting away from the doldrums of like creating flyers and Facebook posts and talking with other industry professionals and kind of feeling recognized in that is helpful. So thank you for that. But I think, in talking about burnout, and how to kind of combat some of this attrition, I thought we came up with some pretty unique ideas. And some of them were, things that people are already doing. Like at our organization, we're doing like care packages for frontline nurses that are, the chapstick and the healthy snack type stuff, just to say, like, we recognize you and here's a little something. But then my favorite idea was giving people an option of either a retention bonus in dollars or in time of a sabbatical. And I thought that was could be kind of innovative to give people that option, because some people need and or want the money, and some people need and or want the time. Like, I would prefer the time right now. So being able to offer something like that, I think, would be really cool.
Yeah, or the chapstick. They may need and or want the chapstick.
Right.
It's a real thing. I love that. So, Thea, how about yourself? Any big takeaways or something you'd want to share?
I thought, the sort of interesting approach of one of our speakers that talked about doing events, but holding them so they're more targeted, and focused on around a certain topic and not shoving down your throat jobs, which I think a lot of us tend to do right now because there's such a desperate need for butts and seats, if you will. So I think taking a unique approach where you pick a topic and then you have speakers that are experts around that talking about that, and making it more of like the forum that we had, where people are getting to communicate with one another, have some fun. And it's not so much about filling those roles, but then coming back after that hiring event, not really being a hiring event, but talking then about your jobs, I thought was a fantastic approach that could certainly be implemented.
That they took the words recruiting and talent acquisition, off of everything, so that it really was meant to be more of like a networking and a long play as well, because it wasn't just about like, who can we hire right now, but like, okay, this is great, like we got a couple of hires out of it, but we also have all of these people that we'll continue to talk to for years to come, which I think especially in those like higher level leadership and professional roles is super important.
Yeah, and I think there's always been an interest, I think, over the last 5 or 6 years within talent acquisition from a marketing branding perspective to create these communities. And I'm using air quotes if you're on your treadmill listening at home, these communities. And they're not really communities. They typically are mailing lists, right? There's no real interaction that goes on. It's sign up for job alerts is what it is. And we've slapped the word community on it. But for those of us who take the word community very seriously, we know that that's supposed to be a two-way street, some dialogue, some two-way conversations are taking place. It's been really interesting in the last year or so to see folks like yourselves that are in those marketing and branding seats try to incorporate real community somehow, real conversation somehow. So getting beyond the mailing list and doing these open sessions where the director of marketing or the head of marketing or the CEO even sits in and maybe even hangs out a little while. I think that was one of the stories that got shared is like, well, he said he'd just give us 15 minutes, but he stayed on for the whole thing, including the recap. He was so engaged. I think that's pretty powerful. Yeah, there's another thing that sort of occurred to me and I noticed in one of the rooms. So we broke into two separate sides and we said, come up with an internal strategy, come up with an external strategy. And one of the rooms that was focused on external that I kept popping back into, what was fascinating to me is what they ultimately were starting landing at is that it's not that we have to build new stuff from an external attraction standpoint. What we have to do is showcase the internal strategy to the externals. So we spend all this time at that organization leaning in and making our employees feel like they belong so that they won't want to leave. They want to stay in the family. What we should be doing externally is not trying to replicate that, but instead showcase that and kind of create a sense of FOMO, if you will, right? That, oh my God, you want to get up in here and just get some loving like we give to our employees, right? You want to feel the same way that you belong and be part of the family. Look what you're missing.
I was in an internal focus group, but we talked about that too, that if we have this great internal campaign, that's going to trickle out and that people are going to talk about what a great place they were, whether we ask them to or not, that's going to start to leak out and that will improve, hopefully, candidate flow and candidate quality, I think.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that as well. We talked about, using that campaign to really promote through referral programs and amping up those. Because people are going to refer in those that look like themselves. So, if you target your diversity population within your company for referrals, they'll refer those that, are within their circles outside of the company.
That is an excellent point. Combat that typical challenge and work that to your advantage. I love it. Jesse, Thea, thank you so much for hanging out for us a little bit or with us for a little bit and jumping on the podcast to talk about the recap. I think it's super helpful for your peers or colleagues who don't necessarily get to attend, and for those who kind of wonder what goes on secretly behind the meetings. We're going to say thank you with a big virtual podcast coin. So you're going to get a CXR Challenge coin show up, and that's, of course, going to launch you up the leaderboards. But we really appreciate you jumping on. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/careercrossroads, and on Instagram at careerxroads. We'll catch you next time.